it's a very important balance. I agree with you between what clients want, what they need, and
Yes.
what's pretty much the budget for it.
Yeah. And also understanding, so those were just examples of appliances and furniture, but when it comes to the built environment, understanding where you can save and where you need to spend. So, for example, taking on a renovation, a wall needs to come down, which was maybe not part of the original plan. Understanding we need to invest in structural engineers and drawings because your house may fall down, because it's the
Yeah.
law and you need a permit for this.
Hey, hey! Lord! Lord!
Welcome to Acadia On Air, where we explore the world of construction, design, and the people who shape the spaces we live and work in. Today we have a very special guest with us, Angela Amlani. Angela is a very talented and innovative interior designer whose work brings style, functionality, and creativity to every space she touches. Also, she's a very good friend of mine. So I hope you'll enjoy this episode. If you do, like and subscribe. And now, let's welcome Angela to the show. All right, welcome everybody to episode number 3. I'm here with Angela. Angela, welcome to our show. It's great having you here.
Thank you for having me, Max. It's an honor to be here. I'm looking forward to talking to you about construction and design and how we work together.
Yes, great having you here. So, Angela, I think it would be best to start with you telling me a little bit about your journey into the interior design. What made you decide and pursue that route? Tell us a little bit about that.
Excellent question, because to give you a little bit of background, I've always had a lifelong passion for design and our spaces and how we live in the world and interact with it. But I started as a dental hygienist,
Oh, wow.
which is completely different, 180, all sciences and health sciences. And after a few years, I realized that's not where my passion was. And I think when we talk about design and construction, it's really important to understand that this profession, you have to be led by passion and really understanding how the world is built. And so I decided to go back to school, and that was in 2001, and I have not looked back since. It's been a real journey, and I made the right decision back 25 years ago, and it's great. So that's a little
Amazing.
bit about myself.
Amazing. That's great. So you're doing it now for more than 20 years.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
And so the time flies, and it's changed so much, which I'm sure we'll talk about how the profession has changed. And it's really exciting what's happening in design, in construction, in Toronto, the built environment and the bylaws, they're changing, and I'm excited about that. So
Great. So, how do you see the relationship between the interior design and construction? And I guess a follow-up question would be, how do these two complement each other? So I find a lot that there could be conflicts between construction and interior design. So tell us a little bit about that.
I think that's an excellent question. Design and construction, I really love the collaboration that happens between the two professions and how they overlap. So Oftentimes, the designer has a vision and a plan, but when you layer that with how do you actually build spaces and how do you build the house and how do you build the space, working with the contractor is super important from beginning to the end. Designers have these big dreams, and then contractors come in or the trades come in and they say, let's think about how to make that a reality. And so, but what's important to consider is how important it is to collaborate right from the beginning. So, a lot of planning goes into building a house, building a laneway house, building a bathroom. And so it's important to bring all the different perspectives together and really help to just work together. Yeah.
And let me ask you a follow-up question. How do you battle situations where, when you have drawings and contractors are working as per drawings, you got a lot of structural information that usually is not on the drawings. Seeing something in 2D and having a building in 3D, that's a different story, right? And sometimes you would design something, and unfortunately, in real life, you would have an ugly piece of structure going in between, and you got to do something about it.
Yes.
Tell me about it. Tell me a little bit about this process. How do you overcome this kind of situations?
I know it's an interesting thing to think about. It's really important to consider what goes into a space. So it's great. Oftentimes working with clients, they say, when I interview clients, I ask certain questions. How do you live? What is your space? How do you envision your space? And so clients come and they say, I want a brighter space. It feels too dark in here or too small. And so then you put pen to paper and you have these ideas, and then you get to the room or the house and you realize, oh, there's a beam that's supporting.
That's
Excuse me, there's a beam that's supporting.
Fault.
Yeah. But okay, so now all of a sudden what worked on plan doesn't work in reality. And on the spot, sometimes you have to really start thinking about how do we coordinate, how do we implement the vision with these challenges and together, working together, implementing the solutions are is just super important. So does that answer?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So I guess the next question would be, a lot of designers in the market, and all of them have different ways of and different philosophies. Mm-hmm. So what is your philosophy and style towards design? And how do you balance, again, aesthetics with functionality and sustainability, which I guess this is a huge part of design, sustainability of the building. So how do you balance those three aspects?
It's really important to consider all of that. Sustainability is so important in today's built environment. We really have to consider the life cycle of that material. We have to consider, what are the materials that we are using? Are they toxic to the environment? Or, for example, if you're renovating a space, what can be done to reuse some of the materials? I know in Vancouver, for example, they have very strict building codes, but also building practices that the trades have to really respect. And so I was speaking to a contractor out west, and they tore down a building, but they had to reuse a lot of the materials in the new build. Yeah, it's really great.
Is that part of their codes? That's something I've never heard before. That's interesting.
It's really interesting. I'm sure it's part of their codes, and we should all be thinking about how do we reuse and recycle in creative ways. Right?
That's actually great, yes.
And then balancing beauty with function. So working with clients, it's always important to understand where are they coming from. So if the client is a family with young children and they say, we want a marble foyer is that the most practical material? Maybe not. Like we all know marble is very porous, right? So can we find alternate materials that look like marble and have the durability that it's cleanable and it's long lasting and it's durable? So it's balancing beauty, function, and sustainability all in one.
So another question of that, how would you suggest, again, that's off my list, but how would you suggest for homeowners that are getting a home and that are looking for materials to renovate, how would you suggest to approach that kind of question?
Speak to a professional because that is number one. Our years of experience will help to save homeowners time and in the long run money. Let's talk about tile as an example.
Go for it.
Yeah, so showrooms are so seductive. There are so many beautiful showrooms and you walk in and it happened the other day. I was in a showroom. I ran into a friend who was looking at tile. And so they showed me the tile. They want to put the tile on the floor. And immediately I asked a very basic question. Is it a wall tile or a floor tile? And they didn't know. So if that tile is going to be used in a floor application, but it's only meant for the wall, it will crack.
Of course.
It won't withstand wear and tear. And then it's something that could have been prevented when dealing with a professional. And
yeah,
so,
a lot of people do that. And I find actually over my years of practice when it comes to tiles, right, I find that there is a lot of contractors that install tiles incorrectly. Right. And using different materials. It's funny, I've seen a contractor, believe it or not, installing a big format tile, which is 2 feet by 2 feet, using pretty much the glue that you would use for a backsplash in the kitchen. Yeah, that's also a scary story. That's why definitely homeowners should be using professionals.
Absolutely. Well, even to further that point, for example, when building a space, you have to think backwards. So if you know that you want a light in a certain space, you have to plan at the beginning of the renovation that the light box, the junction box, will be in an exact location. At the end is when you install it. So sometimes homeowners, I've heard the stories where they'll be done their renovation and said, oh, I didn't know I had to think about electrical. I didn't realize that I needed the plumbing fixtures, the wall-mounted plumbing fixtures to be plumbed in before the tile, the drywall, the framing. So it's important.
Funny enough, to back it up, I can tell you a funny story that just happened to me a couple of weeks ago. We were we are doing a renovation at one of our clients, removing load-bearing walls and creating a bigger kitchen. And that's exactly the situation. The client did not want to invest a little bit more into getting ceiling plans because, as you know, to submit for building permits, you don't really need electrical plans and ceiling plans. But as you also know, this is one of the most important things, lighting and everything, as you just explained. So luckily for him, I was on site, but it's you can see how homeowners don't really connect things. So I'll give you an example. There was supposed to be a big island kitchen there, and he was redoing the floors. Who besides you would have thought that when you install those floors, you got to make sure that they're aligned to the island, right?
100%.
That the whole kitchen. So what happened was, luckily for him, when I saw the drawings were made for the kitchen to be, of course, to the wall, aligned to the wall, and the wall was crooked, the exterior wall, by 1.5 inches. Clearly, when the contractor came in, because he was actually a good contractor to install the floor, he actually made it aligned with the center of the house and not the exterior wall. So now if I wouldn't stop it on time, they would have a crooked island.
Yes.
What would have happened later? You move the island, now you have to move the lights as well, right? Because
Yes.
you got pendant lights above it. So I stress it out for people out there. I definitely stress it. Electrical plans are important. Design for electricity and for fixtures should be probably as important as the kitchen itself. People don't really pay attention to it. Like, yeah, we'll do it later. Pot lights, I'm assuming, lighting. Tell me a little bit about that. How do you approach that as well?
Oh, it's so great. Lighting is one of those areas of design that's come a long way. So, in general, thinking about lighting, there are different layers of lights. So, we're thinking about ambient lighting, task lighting, overall mood lighting. And what can be done today with lights is fantastic. What couldn't even have been done 10 years ago, I would say. And what we're seeing that's possible is great. I'll give you an example with lighting. Wine cellars. So lights from the past had temperatures. They'd actually get hot in incandescent lighting. So lighting a wine cellar wasn't as much of an option unless it was done in a very intelligent way, sophisticated way. But with LED lights that are on the market now, they do not warm up to the same degree. So all of a sudden, introducing lights into a wine cellar, even if it's a wine wall, will make it feel brighter, will make it feel lighter. And that is really cool for homeowners.
And just to expand on that, what I really like is you can take a space which is mediocre,
Yeah.
but using the right lighting, using the right shadows, all of a sudden it's something that comes out of a magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I've seen you people doing that.
Yes.
Transforming spaces from, like again, when we build something, when we build houses, or at the end of the day, those are empty walls. And when you see an interior designer involved in the build, that's a completely different story. It's not just a house and you walk in and there's a kitchen. It just, every little detail is almost as if it was supposed to be there. It just, yeah.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's really important to understand builders are great at building spaces. And you're lucky if there's a builder who has a great
With a
eye
taste.
with taste. I know you're one of those.
I hope I could call myself.
Yes, you are, definitely. I've seen your work and we've worked together. So it's been really...
Which is something that people don't know. We actually work together.
We work
and I enjoy your
together.
designs.
Yes, we and it's exciting working together with somebody who knows how to build the space and has an aesthetic sensibility, because there's this synergy that happens between designers and contractors and trades. And the opposite is also true. I love working with I'm a dreamer. Like designers are creatives, but then understanding how to build that space and really working together with someone, and you can have a deep conversation about how to elevate the space and really push the design through build. It's magical.
Yeah. So speaking of build, it kind of gets us to the next one. So how do you approach a new design project, and where do you draw your inspiration from? Because those are very important.
Yes, so important. It's important to stay inspired, not just be inspired, but
That's
stay
true.
inspired.
That's true, definitely
Yeah.
true.
Well, you know this, design and building spaces, the creative part of the design is about 10%. So what you see, how you finish a space and make it look beautiful. And 90% is how do you actually get it built. So that's really important to remember. My starting point, or any designer's starting point, should be to really sit down with the client and understand how they use their space. So I love it when I have a consultation with a client and I know that they've gone around and the cleaning lady was in that morning and they want the space to look perfect, and I always give them a heads up, please don't do that, because I want to see how you live.
You want to understand the client better.
I really want to have I don't judge. I never walk into a space and say, oh, I walk into a space and I say, hey, this is a family with pets. This is a family with young children. This is a family, you know what? Since we're rebuilding their space, let's consider storage, because they probably would benefit from having more storage. Maybe we'll avoid glass front cabinets. Let's go for solid doors. Or this is a couple that's downsizing and they don't need as much space, and we can focus on bigger furniture pieces that are just really excellent quality, luxurious, and they love to entertain. So let's make sure that there's a wow factor that reflects who they are. So that's key, understanding the client and how they'll use their space. It's there's a quote, Bruce Mell. Do you know Bruce Mell?
No.
Bruce Mell. He taught it. He's industrial designer, graphic designer, one of these design visionaries. And there's a quote, and his quote is, "It's not about the design." Let me get this right. It's not about the world of design. It's about the design of the world. Something like that. And so what it says is, it's not about our ego. It's about how we interact with our environment.
That
And
makes
I
sense.
love that quote. And it's stayed with me. I heard it 20 years ago, and it's sort of always remember that. It's about how the world is designed.
So it's funny, we're saying how in the beginning you're meeting the client and everything you're going through with them in order to understand better. I also find sometimes that clients have a lot of different inspirations from all over the place.
Yes.
In my case, sometimes I have to burst their bubble, explaining the
Oh,
things.
really? What do you mean by
sometimes
that? I love
explaining to
that.
them that some things might not work.
Okay.
How do you approach this kind of situation? So in my case, you can. I'll give you an example. You can meet with a client and they would want above and beyond from what they
Yes.
can actually afford sometimes, or
Absolutely.
the pocket talks differently from what the desire is. How do you approach that situation? How do you explain? How do you actually explain people nicely? Because when they meet you, they think you just going to provide everything they want. And
Yes.
how does it work in your case?
Yes. So it's a it's a reality that every designer, trade, construction, we all have to face that. I think educating clients is number one. So I deal with different furniture stores and appliance stores. I deal with Kaplan's, which is amazing for appliances. And what's number one is educating clients. So let's say we're talking about kitchen appliances and understanding the difference between an entry-level stove and a high-end luxurious line, a Sub-Zero, or understanding what are you paying for? What is it that you're getting for that amount that you're investing, right? Understanding that. The same goes with furniture, like understanding the difference between a $1,000 couch that's meant to last a year or two versus a $20,000 couch that's going to last a lifetime. Understanding the build, how it's built, and how it's manufactured. What is the function of it with appliances, for example? What is the function of a steam oven and all the bells and whistles? And will it make your life better? Will it save you time? Is it something you're looking to invest in? Is a question I always I speak with when I speak with clients, right? And then understanding and educating, and then letting them decide. It's surprising how many times clients say, "Oh, I can't afford that," and then they realize, "Oh, this is what I need," right?
Yeah, so
Understanding.
it's a very important balance. I agree with you between what clients want, what they need, and
Yes.
what's pretty much the budget for it.
Yeah. And also understanding. So those were just examples of appliances and furniture. But when it comes to the built environment, understanding where you can save and where you need to spend. So, for example, taking on a renovation, a wall needs to come down, which was maybe not part of the original plan. Understanding we need to invest in structural engineers and drawings because your house may fall down because it's the
Yeah.
law and you need a permit for this.
It's
And
it's funny. Sorry for cutting you off, but you know
yeah,
how many times I hear clients when I come to their house and they want to remove load bearing walls,
yes,
and you tell them, okay, so again, our assumption
yes.
that you do everything right. So you tell them, okay, no problem. Let's just start with the drawings. We'll do the drawings. Drawings? Do we need drawings?
Yes,
Well, yes, we need the city to inspect it. We need the city to approve
yes.
the city. Can we not just do it without the city?
Always, right? That it's there's always that question, what do we really need the city for? But yes, you need the city because you have to. What I hope the audience understands is the building codes and building permits are there for their benefit.
Of course.
It's to keep them safe. And so without that, we've heard the stories. We've seen it on the news or yeah.
Speaking of stories, I don't know if forget news. I'll tell you real life stories.
Yes.
I don't know if I ever told you this story that I had, I think 6-7 years ago. We met. I went to meet a client for construction. To make a long story short, the client decided that we are a little bit too expensive. Decided not to go with us, which is fine. Months went passed by. I completely forgot about it. All of a sudden, I have a phone call, and I have the
Okay.
client on the phone crying, "Max, we have an issue. We decided to hire a different contractor. The guy was 3 times less than my price. Something clearly is wrong there, right?"
Yeah. You get what you pay
but
for.
you know, you're not gonna start. You know, you can teach to a point, but you're not gonna explain that to anyone. But anyways, yeah, they were adding an addition in the back of their house, which means all the back wall has to be removed, and the contractor and the designer, whoever did their drawings, did not calculate the structure right. The contractor, when they installed whatever they installed, because the new addition was open to above, the second floor just started caving, and they could see the second floor pretty much just starting to cave.
Wow.
And that's when she called, and it was in City of Vaughan. Clearly, I put a stop order on the project, went in, took over, clearly recalculated, and realized that we needed a much bigger beams and another column that was
Yeah.
missing in there with the existing beams. So yeah, and the funniest part about this story, that when I called the city of Vaughan asking, how could you guys release a permit like that? You know what they told me? They said, well, there's an engineer on the project. It's their problem, their responsibility. But on the other hand, they check their calculations. So why do you check engineers' calculations if it's their responsibility?
Wow. Yes.
So then they're covering themselves, of course, but at the end of the day, really what I'm trying to say is that's what happened to clients that do things incorrectly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so permits are definitely necessary. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
So sometimes it's annoying to have to pay for structural engineer
Right.
because you don't really see the everyone sees the finished product, the tile, the lights, and that. But it is important to not cut on those expenses that are necessary.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, putting aside a little bit we're in the 21st century.
Yes.
Sustainability, it's all about sustainability. Tell me a little bit more about that. It's a big topic in construction. How do you approach sustainability and incorporate it, again, into your build?
Yes. Number one, sustainability. We're all talking about it. We're concerned about the environment. It's really, we can't even close our eyes to it anymore. It's important.
Everything is sustainability.
Pardon? Yeah.
Everything is sustainability.
Everything is sustainability. So I'm actually working with a professional right now. So I'm building the healthiest home that I have ever built. Well, I can't take any of the credit. I'm just guiding the decisions. But the homeowner, her parents passed away, and they later found out that the house was just not healthy. There were issues such as mold and so for her, she inherited the house. So she's hired a professional, and I'm learning so much through this. So it's about the materials that we use. How can they be sustainable? So basement floors, stay away from vinyls. Laminate is a healthier choice, right? MDF, not so good. The types of insulations that are being installed. So Roxol, thumbs up to Roxol. The chemicals that are being used. So I find today companies are much more accountable for what is being put out there. So in paints, using low VOC to no VOC paints. So it's possible to make decisions that keep our homes healthy. But then it's not just the materials, it's also how the house is being built. So what I'm learning is the importance of a vapor barrier and the space between the attic and the floor below it.
Mm-hmm.
That ceiling is important to observe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can expand on it a little bit, which is that's a
Perfect.
great topic. A lot of people, builders, they really do not understand what water management is all about. Because pretty much what you're referring to is if the house is not wrapped correctly, if water management systems are faulty, you're going to have mold. You're going to have pretty much not like a very bad air in your house and livable conditions. So yeah, every time when we inspect stuff, we find that water management is done incorrectly. Barrier is ripped everywhere. I don't know if you've seen. I caught some. Again, I'm not going to use names here because hopefully people will see it. But yeah, I've seen window company going in, demolishing the windows. You know, the wrap is all kind of all over. They just cut it with a knife. Spray foam will fix everything. But now what happens? All the lumber, all the structure is exposed, and water sits behind it, and that creates mold. You know, that eats into the wood. And yes, I always stress to people to make sure that everything is getting inspected.
Absolutely.
Everything is getting inspected.
Yeah, the building envelope and how it's built, it needs to be built properly or else.
Yeah.
And you don't see it immediately. This is after a year,
Absolutely.
2 years, 3 years. Water will penetrate, and
Absolutely.
mold is a number one. We don't want that. So no, that's a good point. Yeah.
Thank you. So tell me, please. I wanted to know from your perspective, how is it from the perspective of construction? We know
Yes.
that in not everything is possible when it comes to interior design. We find a lot of things that sometimes don't align. It's a normal thing. Not because it's the interior designer's fault. It's just because, those are the building conditions. As we discussed earlier, they change. How is it? So you told us earlier how is it to kind of work with existing conditions. But my question is, how is it to collaborate between the interior design to the construction team? And how do you solve these situations with in between the construction team and the permit consultants? How do you approach those situations if something needs to be changed all of a sudden?
I know, and it happens. It happens all the time. So I always say to my trades, I have a lot of respect for you, and it's important to put your ego aside and understand that there are always big personalities in whichever profession, right? But understanding that we're all humans and understanding that we're in this together, understanding what is the goal for this space, right? So what is the goal for the client? Understanding that we have to treat each other with respect, right? There will always be differences, and there are always different, what am I thinking of? There are always different objectives and goals. So really keeping the goal front and center is important. So when there is a challenge that arises, how do you address it? Well, speak to each other respectfully, right?
Yeah.
Understand what the variables are. So what are like the budgetary concerns? What are the timelines like? So sometimes that helps to guide the decision. It's like, okay, we can take route A that will be a more custom route, and we have to custom order this material and installed, but it's a more expensive, and we need an expert in this field to help implement it. Or is it, well, we have to be done in, a month's time, and it makes more sense to take this route, right? This house is a house that we're flipping, right? So the long-term design, we don't have to necessarily choose, top-end materials and that. Or is this a house that you'll be in forever?
A house to stay.
A house to stay.
Yeah.
And so I think as a designer, I'm representing the clients, but I'm also usually the bridge between the clients and the trades. So understanding, okay, that these are the needs that the client has. Hey, these are the needs that the team has, the contractor, the painter, all of that. And so respecting each other's needs to get to the finish line is number one, right? There's no need to have big egos. Leave that at the door and just...
Well, listen, egos are number one for contractors for some reason.
Designers too.
but also speaking of egos,
Yes.
We had our last episode where I actually mentioned that. That's why it's very important to work with established firms.
Yes.
So you can have me, myself. I call those guys me, myself, and my hammer.
Yeah, okay.
Like me, myself, and Irene.
Yeah.
Right? They will come in.
Yeah.
They will be there. But you're telling them that's, okay, listen, I don't want to offend you, but something there. What? What are you talking about? That's the best job ever. You don't like it? I can go.
Oh, no.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But this. I was stressing that to our viewers as well, that working with established companies, with an established construction team, which, by the way, not always working with me, myself, and Irene kind of guys usually can be even more expensive.
Yes.
Because you got to fix everything that was done.
Yes.
But working with established companies, even though for some reason there is this perception that they are by much more expensive. Yes, they are more expensive because you can sleep at night, because you know that somebody will take responsibility, somebody will take ownership, somebody will do their job right, somebody will be able to respectfully communicate with the homeowner, the designer, and the rest of the team. Because usually there are quite a lot of teams in construction, right? You got to make sure that you can communicate with everybody.
100%.
But yeah,
And just to follow up on that, the benefit of working with architects, engineers, designers who have a lot of experience, what we've learned along the way benefits you, but also the relationships that we bring with us. So I always say, I say this to my clients all the time when we're working together. I say, you have to work with Max. He knows the city. He's great. He'll give you great designs, but he knows the city and he knows the bylaw. And you always wow them. I'm not just saying
I
it, but it's
try.
true.
Actually, I'm not trying to wow them. It's just I have this knowledge, and I
Because
just
you have this knowledge and it's an innate, because you're experienced, because if I'm not mistaken, your background, you started in, you actually know how to build
yes.
spaces.
So I'm a contractor for many years. Besides the fact that, so that's why when I meet people, I'm not just thinking about the end result.
Yes.
I'm thinking, how are we getting to this end result, and is it possible? And of course, the idea that we're not just, again, why I'm stressing about good, companies. It's not let's just get the job and figure that out later.
Yes.
It's you gotta make sure that your client understands crystal clear where is that you're going,
Yes.
and then it's much simpler. So if like I'm assuming, tell me if you agree with it or not. You can have an interior designer that will agree with the client and tell him yes to everything, get the project, and then in the middle of the project, all of a sudden the client would get frustrated.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you can take care of that. I thought that's going to work. This is going to work.
Yes.
Or you can have somebody like you that will be very open with their client, explain, get their expectation, I'm assuming, to a certain level. And I work with you for years, so I know. And the client is always smiling.
Yes.
The client is always smiling. The client is not stressful. The client understands that there is a person who will give a great service. So, yeah, if you can expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Communication is number one, right? I think most people are reasonable. Most people are happy when you can even say, no, this cannot be done. But I think if you if you educate them along the way, if you explain the reason why not, then a lot of times they say, well, what can we do?
Yeah.
And then that's where the creative juices flow and you have to get creative. But I think many people are reasonable and they want to work with you as a partner. I think the idea of professional is here and then client is here is outdated. I think obviously as a professional, you bring your experience, you bring your knowledge and you efficiency and expertise, all of that comes together. But working with your clients one-to-one, taking away a lot of the overwhelm is number one, if you can.
You know what? I'll tell you something funny, and this is something that I hold myself for many years now. Long time ago, we had a conversation, again, I'm going a little bit away to kids, but I don't remember who, but somebody told me, Max, you have to treat your kids as if they're grown-ups. You can't talk to them as if they're kids.
Yes.
Because they're smart. So when I approach a client, and I'm coming from my perspective where I have a lot of knowledge, I realize two things. When they're talking to me, they're just like a kid because this is new for them, right? So you have to give them all the information because you cannot treat them like kids. It's not like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll do the best for you. I can do the best for you. You got to explain everything to them. And second of all, you got to explain it to them for them actually to be able to understand that.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
yeah. And I think clients and people in general are very aware. We live during a time where there's a lot of information that's readily available. So as a professional, we have to know our area of expertise, and clients will ask. They'll ask tough questions, and to be ready and to know, and also to exactly what you're saying is to treat them as equals. You can't meet with a client and think, "Oh, they don't know anything," or
Yeah.
pull the wool over their eyes, or no, people know, and people want to know, and
Yeah.
and or not, and that's fine. But I think it's important to treat them. It's a sign of respect, right?
Yeah, and I also find that, again, the best is not the word here, but the easiest clients to work with, tell me if you agree with me or not, are the more educated client, not educated because they know, but the clients that did their homework and they kind of understand what they want. So more information you give them, easier it becomes. And I also find that when you come to clients with knowledge, and even if you tell them something that they do not like for an example, imagine load-bearing wall. Max, I want to remove the load-bearing wall. Okay, you have two choices. Either we're going to remove it not completely, or we're going to have a column in the middle, or, you give them their choices. Sometimes they're not happy with any choice because that's how the structure of the house has been. But if you explain that to them, and you also explain the financial aspects behind it and how things would make sense better if they do A, B, C,
yes,
they will be okay with that. They will be okay because you're there to give them solutions. You don't just tell them it's not going to work. Why? Because structurally it's not going to work. You're not smart enough to understand.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So situations like that happen.
Oh, for
Anyways, yeah.
sure.
So I've seen those a lot.
Yes.
So, and
all
speaking of that, speaking
Yes.
of all these issues that can happen on site, how do you ensure that your vision actually eventually translated? And I'll expand on that question. So, because sometimes you have a design, you're an artist, you have a certain vision in your head, and for an artist, this vision has to be created 100%.
Yes.
How do you ensure that happens? Because structural changes might happen, and some things. And again, if you can give me an example, some things can be in the way, and I know the designers sometimes could be very unhappy with situations like that.
I know a lot of times what I think of renovating in a condo, there are
Yeah, very limited.
very few changes that you can make because the plumbing stack will span the 20 floors, the 20 stories. And so it's important to understand that there are always going to be variables that are out of our control, right? And so I think being realistic that sometimes things are out of our control is part of the process. I think planning is number one because it helps to, there can be big dreams for a space, but gathering information is crucial. Like what can actually realistically be done? For example, we'll use condos as an example. You want to create this beautiful island that's 20 feet long, right? Because you have a penthouse, and how is the slab going to fit in the elevator?
Oh, right.
Right? So you can have this vision, but to understand, all right, so there are certain constraints. So maybe we can't get it in through the elevator. All right, so maybe we'll have to have a crane bring it up and through. And so thinking outside of the box, everything is almost possible.
You see, that's where I find your experience doing it for more than 20 years. So that's where I find issues can arise. Because if you, I find, so two designers can create two great spaces, but the difference is, and that's pretty much for the homeowners out there to kind of take that as a note. The difference is, are you going to create something that is actually can be built? Or is it going to be something that looks great, but then,
Yes.
oh, yeah, we can't have that kitchen now. We have to move it because there is a pipe there.
Yes.
Oh, this island cannot be here because there is a phone cable that goes through this column all the way through the floors, as you
Yes.
mentioned. So I would assume that new designers would not have that experience,
Yes. I'll give you this
which will
example.
create mistakes. Yeah, tell
I'll
me
give you
about it.
this example. In here in Toronto, we have many houses in Riverdale or in and you have to learn this. You have to have this experience once, and you learn it for a lifetime. Riverdale, North Toronto, Parkdale, where you have these gorgeous Victorian homes, right? Getting furniture to the second and third floor, you sometimes furniture will not fit, so you have to already know either it won't fit through the door or up through the narrow stairwell,
course.
right? And so my first question is always, what's the dimension of this? What's the width of the stair? What's the ceiling height? What does the landing look like? Is it
What's our
U-shaped?
limitations?
What are your limitations and what is possible? And so sometimes what I love about the options that are on the market, there's modular furniture that we can take apart and build. And
It's
so,
actually growing now. Yeah.
pardon? It's
No, it's just growing now. All those modular furniture.
it's
Yeah,
great.
go ahead.
So
go ahead.
it makes more possible. So, so learning, sometimes that comes through experience, right? You learn, you only have to make that error once, and then, but that comes with experience, and it comes with experience in any field, in any profession, in contracting, in law, in accounting, but within the trades and within, yeah.
You see, that's what I find. A homeowner has to think for themselves. And I'm going to use a brutal language.
Okay.
But do you want to be a guinea pig of, a new designer that did not learn those things the hard way? Or do you want to, and you know what? And imagine yourself, you buy a piece of furniture that cost $10,000-$15,000 and it can't even fit in your home.
Yes.
So do you want to be that situation? Or do you want to pay a couple of thousands more or whatever, 5, 6, but not have mistakes that cost you 20, 30, right?
Exactly.
So this is something that's why we're having these conversations, because clients out there need to understand that, when you're looking for drawings, when you're looking for interior design, it's not really the price of that you should worry about. You should make sure that the gatekeeper, which is your designer or your architect or your contractor,
Yes.
that your gatekeeper actually prepare everything, all the documentation, to make sure that your construction is cheaper.
Not just that, but understanding that contractors will build the space, designers will design the space, so you increase flow through the space and increase light through the space and make it function, right? But understanding that every decision, even though it may not make sense at the beginning, every design decision, there's a lot of thought that goes into creating spaces and into building homes. And so there's value in working with contractors that have experience, with designers that have experience, because that's what you're relying on and putting your trust in. I always say to homeowners, it's an honor to be invited into your home. And when I think of our homes are our most sacred space, right? So I'm honored because, and all of us should be,
They trust us with
and
it.
they
Yes.
trust us with
And we should
their-
respect it.
and we should respect it. And so no project should ever be taken lightly because it's
Of course.
somebody's, and this is where they relax. This is where they go home to. So, but there's value in working with the with trades and designers and contractors who have that experience and really will protect that.
Yeah, it's interesting that we have situations that we will design a home, and a client would come to us and they would say, "Well, we had a designer, but it didn't really work out," And I find that again something that we're trying to educate. I'm sure it's the same in interior design space too. You can save a couple of bucks on the designer, but this couple of bucks you save will not give you all the knowledge and the experience and the ability to avoid problems that comes with it, right? You can have one designer and second designer. One will design a beam that costs $1,000. The other one will design a beam that costs $3,000. One will design a certain structure that will cost $20,000. The other one, $15,000. So I'm always stressing it, and I'm going to say it again. I just did before. When you're hiring a professional, it's not about how much they cost. It's about how much they're going to save you during your work.
Yes.
And the knowledge and the experience does that.
Oh, absolutely. What's the expression? There's no such thing as a free lunch.
That's true.
Yeah. But there's truth to that because it really, how many jobs, and I know you've probably had a few, you gave even an example of this, of how many jobs have you had to go back and revisit and fix because they thought they thought they couldn't do it on their own. So I'm just working with someone now where the homeowner said, I'm going to be the general contractor, and so I just need I have some questions, and so they coordinated the trades. It was a disaster. There was overlap, and there's a certain sequence that happens with any renovation. So the demo, and then plumbing and electrical, and I said, because of conversations and asking the right questions, there's a lot of foresight. So I said, hey, did you think of X, Y, and Z? And she said, no, not at all. And so we're moving forward, and I'll be helping them in, with their project and helping them through the next phase. And they said, we should have done it sooner. And you hear it over and over again. And I'll never, and I'm sure you're the same, I know you're the same way. You'll never force you'll never force yourself and say, you have to work with me, or you'll have to work with. But it's your experience that says, okay,
you want to do that.
You want to do that.
You want to do that. I'll give you another example. So we did again also full house renovations, and the client wanted to control the budget, and they hired their own people to do the kitchen, to do a couple of things. So we did most of the work, but a couple of small things, they decided that it was a little bit, too expensive.
Yes.
They hired a different kitchen company. You know what happened eventually?
Do tell.
They hired a company. They promised 3 weeks. Eventually, it's 8 to 10 weeks for a kitchen. 8 to 10 weeks. All the construction is on hold. They don't have a kitchen, unfortunately. They have to leave very, very difficult. And eventually, after add-ons, because when they started actually thinking about the first design did not work, so I explained to them how to create the right design, the kitchen triangle and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
The kitchen's 101.
Yes.
But then Free just everything they got to a bigger price than we gave them. And our price was pretty much all in.
Yes.
But
Go figure.
the other company just took it step by step and just, oh, that wasn't part of the price. This is not part of the, oh, hardware. No, we didn't discuss hardware. What do you mean? No, hardware is not part of the price. Oh, handles? No, no, no. So all the countertops? No, 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 that's separately. Eventually, they had to wait for them, which they're waiting right now. We're kind of out, and the house is just, the construction is on hold because of that. But yeah,
And then think of the fallout of that. Where are they living during this renovation?
yeah,
So
they're out. They're paying. So now, by the way, they're paying more for the kitchen.
yes.
They're paying more for the Airbnb that they rented.
Yes.
It's a disaster. It's a disaster. People
Yeah.
like, and it sometimes you would get. I'm a project manager.
Yes.
In my job, that means I can manage construction.
Yes.
People just underestimate the amount of what is that we're doing.
Oh, there
Yeah.
are so many stories. Absolutely.
So tell me to close on that topic. Me
Yes.
sometimes as a contractor who doesn't understand it a lot, and as a design build firm, what should I understand? What should I understand better to make this relationship work with the design team, to make this relationship work better?
Start early. So sometimes we are called into the projects well after the renovation has started. And so it makes sense to start well before you think you need a designer. I know there are projects where the planning doesn't actually start when we say, okay, the first check is paid. The planning starts like, okay, let's get to know who you are, right? There are conversations that designers will have that contractors will never have. We are invited into their homes and we see, sometimes it's at night. This afternoon, I was with a client and they have 3 young kids. One was at school, one was sick. And the third, she's 6 months, and she didn't
Oh my
make
God,
it.
that's a disaster.
It's a
And
lot.
you're trying to kind of explain stuff in between.
Yeah, and you're trying to explain stuff in between, and sometimes that's how design meetings happen. But there are conversations that happen, and I understand. Okay, this is a family that doesn't have a lot of time, and their needs include X, Y, and Z, and so these sorts of conversations are important for you down the road as a contractor, because maybe that will affect the timelines, or maybe that affects what we do now and what we postpone till next year, right? And so it's important to start the conversations early, really early.
Also, it's kind of, I guess, you're learning to see the family in their natural way of living, kind of,
Absolutely, yes.
which again, makes your job much better eventually,
Yeah,
because you know what they need. When you see the family through those kind of difficult evenings, a lot of kids, and you know what is that they need to make them relax, what kind of areas they need to create in their house. Yeah.
It'll be fun. For example, we're adding they have a dog that's an important part of the family. And so we're adding a puppy shower in the basement.
Made those couple of times.
Yeah, they're fun and important. Dogs, what I've learned is pets are as important as other family members. They are family. So we have to design for families, and so we're also including a dog feeding station that's built within the island.
Oh wow,
which is great. And
I will be so happy to see this design of yours.
I can't wait to show you. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be a fun project. They're into color and they're into livability. So right from the beginning, they said to me, we don't want it to feel newly built. We want it to feel really lived in, and we don't care. So they're happy to invest in marbles and all of that. They wanted to have that that rustic feel right from the beginning. So I'm like, let's do it. So,
Alrighty.
and these are conversations that I then can communicate to the contractor. I would communicate to you. I would communicate to the painter. I would communicate to all the trades. I will also investigate, okay, we can use these types of wallpapers. They have the durability that we need, that we're looking for, and the washability, and then make sure that that I'm communicating that to you. I want to also say something. The importance of working together is, as a designer, it would be it is always my responsibility to make sure the project keeps moving forward. So if there's a bathroom that's being built, make sure that all of the tiles have been selected, make sure that the fixtures, make sure that the plumbing is on site when it needs to be on site, because that's my role as a designer, and making sure that the project keeps moving forward.
This is actually a very, very, very important thing you just said, because construction can be delayed because of this kind of issues. When homeowner thinks that they do not need a designer, usually what happens, the contractor is moving on. Oh, you still didn't get the tile. Oh no, we wanted to see what the space is going to look like. And all of a sudden, the next 3-4 days, they're walking with different tiles around the house.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Angela could have the mood board and everything done with it before the project even started.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, assuming for a second, right, that the project is some kind of development, which is a secondary unit, or you mentioned a laneway suite before, or a garden suite, where every month that you're not renting it out,
Yes.
you're losing money.
Yes.
So people don't understand. Do you want to lose 3 months of rent, or should you just pay to a professional
Yes.
to do this job for you, and then not only rent it at the right time, but rent it more, because everybody who comes into the space all of a sudden is very excited now. I want that space. I want it for myself. So yeah, this is also, just wanted to expand on it, because this is something for homeowners to think about.
I'll give you another example with plumbing, for example. Early on, I mentioned plumbing goes in first, and then at the very end, the fixtures are installed. So sometimes we need something ASAP, and because of the relationships that we've built over the years, I know personally I have relationships. I've been dealing with certain manufacturers or stores for years. I'm able to call up the store and say, hey, do you have the rough-in for me? I know the fixture will take 4 months to arrive, or it'll take 4 weeks, but we need our rough-in tomorrow. Do you have something for me?
See, this outside of the box thinking, I never thought about it before.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
It's all about the relationships that get built over time and over years. And that's really when you're working with professionals and working with contractors, that's what you're paying for as well. It's the relationships that get built.
100%.
Yes.
So, as you know,
Yes.
there's another topic. We're living in the 21st century. Trends.
Sorry?
Okay, there's a lot of trends.
Oh, trends.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's a lot of trends, top trends in interior design. And so what kind of trends are in right now?
Yes.
And how are they influencing on the spaces that are being built? If you could tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, I love this. This is a fun part of design, right? Talking about trends and what's here to stay, what's not. But in terms of trends, we are seeing so much color come into design. Last year, I believe 4 of the kitchens, all of the kitchens, none of them were white. All of them were two-toned. Sage green is a huge, olive green is huge, and it's everywhere. Gone are the days of that like very clean white that is like so stark and lacks personality. So color is one, and lighting is really transforming how
Lighting is everywhere.
everywhere. And it's really exciting, and it's really getting better and better and better. So definitely those are two trends. And maximalism. So we want to see the items we've collected on our travels. We want to show off our collections. Sometimes things that we've inherited from family, or collectors, like watch collectors, and really incorporating that into closets and homes. And so really really expanding how we use our spaces. Yeah, really fun.
And where do you see those trends are going? Where do you see interior? How will interior design evolve in 5 to 10 years from now?
Oh, great question. So I see this happening more and more and more. So more and more is possible with technology and with the materials and how we're able to create our built environment. So for example, I know CNC machines now are able to create really intricate designs using materials that used to have really big limitations. So what they're able to do with the cutters with stone is really exciting. What they're able to do with integrating technology into our tools will really push the envelope on design. So I think we're going to see a lot of experimentation. I think we're going to color is not going anywhere. Oftentimes I get asked about brass. Is brass here to stay, or is it a trend? And I'm like, it's here to stay, because we're seeing brass, and then we're seeing a deeper brass and a distressed brass. And so we're taking what we have now and just pushing the envelope and pushing. And what's really great is you can really find great design at different price points. So finding that look and creating it, or being able to implement it, is more possible than ever. So I'm happy to see that everyone's having a lot more fun with design.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
So tell me about a project that you remember that challenged your design skills, and how did you overcome this, and what was so unique about it?
Excellent question. So I just recently finished a project in Cabbagetown. The houses are beautiful, and the way they used to build houses, amazing, right? The architectural detail, the molding, the hand plaster detail that were built 100 years ago, 150 years ago. So they are gorgeous. So we worked with the integrity of the house, but the house was falling apart. Talk about mold, right? So when they didn't dig out the basement, but the basement slab was built on sand, essentially. And so
No basement.
there was a basement, and it was being used as a basement, and the laundry was there, but no insulation, A, no water management, B, and the slab, which was really, really thin, the floor, was not built on any strong foundation. So when they chipped away at it a little bit, they realized, this house is we have to address it. So it was an unexpected challenge, but obviously you deal with it, and obviously it changes the cost of the renovation, but you have to address a challenge like that. So there was mold that we had to address, and everything was done with permits. So everything was inspected along the way, but that's a huge challenge, right? And
Of course.
that's one example, but what a great project. Yeah, so that was a challenge that we had with that property, was dealing with these unexpected findings, but you deal with it. And then And then work with the architecture that's there. And so we had the opportunity to celebrate 10-foot ceilings and stained glass windows and make, through experience you learn is that there are challenges because the house is 150 years old. How do you get it up to today's standard? Asbestos, is that something that you deal with? Oftentimes, yes, in a house that age.
A lot of unforeseen structurally.
Absolutely. Wiring, you're talking about.
All the electrical has to be replaced.
All of the electrical. Plaster walls. We're not talking about drywall. So good
Probably
luck.
no mechanicals that you were supposed to install.
Yeah, absolutely. So those were some of the challenges. Did it turn out beautifully? Yes. Are the homeowners happy? Yes. Were we able to rent it for much more? Absolutely. The homeowners, they moved to Mexico and they rented it out. So.
Oh, now I get all the colors.
Yeah, right?
People that come from sunny countries like colors.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me, Angela, tell me a little bit about so for interior design set that you usually would have, I know as a contractor, is a Bible. The idea is eventually you gotta get to what's on this set. You don't go left, you don't go right. That's how it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Did you have situations where your design went completely to a different, went south? I mean, completely changed during the job?
Yes, all projects.
Really?
Well, absolutely. This is what happens.
I guess I'm the only person that tried to keep it to the design standard.
I'll tell you exactly what happens. So I'll get called in and they want their kitchen renovated. So I'm like, okay, no problem. And I know it's coming. So we talk about their kitchen and we start planning their kitchen. And even midway during the renovation, they realize, wow, now my living room looks like this. And so all of a sudden it becomes a kitchen plus a living room and then dining room. And once you start elevating one space, it's like, okay, what do we do with this space here? Okay, we change the windows and the floors and the lights, but this still has the old window. Yeah. So all of a sudden, scope creep, I'm sure it's a term that we all experience in design. But so it's a huge challenge that many homeowners find. They think, oh, this, but then in the end, it ends up becoming this. And so, and it happens, and we guide them through it. And so it's all part of the project. And sometimes I say, hey, you realize, because it comes with experience, you realize, you're going to want to change this after we do this. And that's usually the case.
So a little bit. So for people that might be interested in a career in interior design,
yes,
what can you advise, or what would you advise to people that start out, just starting out with this career?
I love this. I don't know if you know this. I oftentimes, I've many times been a crit at Ryerson, which is now TMU, for students that are in design, and they're either first-year students or last-year students. So it's really exciting to see their enthusiasm for design, right? They have a really, they're really excited about design. The number one piece of advice I would say is start looking around, look at the built environment. Everything we interact with, the microphone, the chair, the room, the space, is designed. And it could be good design or it could be bad design, but start understanding things such as proportion. Like, why does the space feel right? What is it? How is it? So, for example, I'm looking at the backdrop here, right?
Give it to me.
Okay, I will. I love it, right?
Thank you.
But one of the first questions I have when I'm observing is like, how did they adhere it to the wall? I don't see one screw. How does that stay up? Okay, so the light is, or the signage is lit, but where's the power source? How do you turn that light on and off? These are questions that are going through my mind all the time. It's like a bit of OCD.
We're going to have an episode about that as well.
Oh, really? You should.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. But it's important as someone who is just getting into this wonderful world.
It's funny. I think it's almost the difference between watching Suits and being a lawyer.
Right. Exactly. Right? Yes.
It's so romantic, when you're watching Suits, yes. but then when you're a lawyer, it's a completely different thing. Do you think how important formal education for the field of interior design?
Mm-hmm. It's very important in that it teaches us the technical skills that we need as design professionals. Mm-hmm. It teaches us about building codes. It teaches us about materials. It teaches us the basic principles of design. So we haven't really talked about this, but it teaches us about scale, proportion, contrast, how those elements are super important when designing a space, designing a house, designing furniture. But what's really important about design, it's the space where you can just, at least this is what was taught to us, and I hope they're still teaching this, it's how to just be creative. Mm-hmm. Right? You have to think about building codes and budgets and all of that. But it's important to just be creative. Let your imagination really explore and flow. In the real world, we have real constraints that budgets, finding clients and finding the projects that that help us, to keep experiencing design and construction, but so I think there's value in school.
Yeah, sure. No, I definitely, you know what, another question to you, I'll tell you what my opinion over that, but you could go to school to become a plumber.
Yes.
But the question is, what is better, to go to school to become a plumber or be an apprentice for 3 years and be a plumber? So when it comes to interior design, when it comes to design overall, what do you think it would be, just in your opinion, what do you think would be more important and more valuable? Schooling or experience?
100%,
education or experience?
Hands-on experience, without a doubt. There is so much that can be learned. One of my first jobs, so when I was, I graduated, I don't know if you know this, but I graduated school and then I knew I was going to work in design, but my husband, he was in school at the same time. And so we went to Florence, and then on our way back, 6 months later, I thought, I'll have to find a job in design. So I received a call from one of my professors. So there's a lesson, like have great relationships with professors.
I guess that's something you cannot get if you don't actually go to school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so she said, there's an opportunity to work on a TV show, which is what I did. And so it was the best experience. This pace was incredibly fast. I worked with a partner and a great contracting team. The pace was super fast, but more importantly, I learned how to build spaces. So I understand, because it was real time. There was no time to really do drawings, and everything was supervised. But there was no time to do the drawings. So we were on site real time, speaking with the electrical team, the electricians and the contractors, saying, okay, we need a light here, here, here. We need to have this wall framed. There's going to be cabinetry on this wall. And we learned how every inch matters. We learned how how to transform spaces. And that experience, it was very unique, but it was school was 4 years, and I worked at that job for 2 years. And those 2 years they still are with me to this day, because it's the hands-on experience. You hear the lingo, you hear the terminology, you understand, the building codes that are, it's very hands-on. Oh, we can't do that because it's a code violation. So, hey, let's do it this way. So you learn fast. So it was great.
So tell me, what does the future hold for interior designers in terms of sustainability and technology? Where do you see it, how technology influence interior design?
That is huge. It is changing fast, and I'm not even sure we know what it means yet. But AI, for anybody out there, if you're not integrating AI into practice, you will get left behind. It's taking over at a speed, and it's important because it's not.
So could you give me some example?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just trying to understand how exactly does that work.
Yeah, so there are so many programs. What I want to say about AI, there are so many programs that help to make us more efficient, that make us.
Oh, I see.
So A, it's an efficiency thing. B, more professional. So there are so many tools to automate the business of design, the business of contracting. I liken it to when AutoCAD was probably introduced. There were many who were hand drafting, and then AutoCAD came along, and and it saved time. And did it take over? Did it mean that jobs were being lost? It just meant, I don't think so. It meant that we were more productive.
Just different jobs were created,
and then
for a different generation.
Yeah. And so what this means for design specifically is there are tools that can photorealistically render spaces. So during present, and I'm just learning about this because it's fairly new and it's evolving fast.
So for all of you renderers out there, you're in trouble in the next 5 to 10 years.
It's changing the way and the speed.
Definitely.
So I was speaking to one of my professors after 20 years. I still have those relationships. So, but I was speaking to her, and she works at a big architectural firm, and what used to take a month or 2 months for the programming to be sorted out, they're able to do in like 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
And so it's a little scary, but wonderful and exciting what's possible. So rendering tools, automating. So for example, booking appointments with clients, or the follow-up of appointments. Of course, ChatGPT and DeepSeek. I know everybody is talking about it.
Wouldn't be able to live without ChatGPT, are they?
Right? It's just one of those tools that is the new Google, right?
Yeah.
And the way, but it doesn't undermine who we are and how we present ourselves. We're still able to ask the questions and learn, and it's still learning. It just makes us more productive and better designers and contractors and architects.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
So.
Alrighty. Yeah. So I'm
but
gonna.
What I will,
yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Just add one last thing is. So back in 2001, when I was in school, we did not have all of these tools. AutoCAD was just one course at the end of 4th year. We hand rendered and sketched. And it's such an important skill.
I do that every day with clients on site.
We do it every day with clients on site. We communicate with our pens. And so I hope that never gets lost. But it's
you see, that's the thing. I don't think it will ever get lost because when you have this moment of a conversation with a client,
Yes.
the magic of being able to quickly show them your vision,
Yes.
it's not there if you're gonna if you will talk about something and tell them, let me send it to you tomorrow. By that time they're in a completely different place,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
But it's so magical when I find when I talk to clients and I sketch something and they're like, oh, that's what you meant, let's go for it.
Exactly. It's very real time. And
Yeah.
what all of this technology will never replace is service, is the one-on-one contact that we have with our clients. That touch point, the human contact, will never be replaced. And
I agree. I hope it
Yeah.
doesn't.
I hope not.
I hope not, because
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't want ChatGPT to do construction for
No.
people. Many people would get just frustrated.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask you a couple of rapid fire questions.
No problem. Fire away.
So what's your go-to design color right now?
I would say that sage green, it tends to be my go-to color. Pastels and just happy colors. Sage green.
What design trend you wish would disappear?
Ooh, fast fashion and fast furniture, meaning the quality of furniture has gone down a lot.
Didn't even think about it, yes.
Yeah, fast furniture for sure.
What's your favorite type of project to work on? Residential, commercial, or something else?
100% residential.
I know the answer to that.
Yes.
The one design tool or app you can't live without? ChatGPT?
100%. Without a doubt, for sure. ChatGPT, but also SketchUp. I love SketchUp. SketchUp is a cool tool that is really quick. It's really quick, and it really, I do a lot of my planning either by drawing it out or through SketchUp, and a lot of planning. So yeah, it's a fun tool.
So Angela, thank you for that. So where can our listeners find you if they want your advice, if they want you to do anything for them? Where can they be looking for you?
So I'm on Instagram at Decor Answer, and also my website is www.decoranswer.com, and I can be reached both ways.
Perfect. So people,
Thank you.
go check Angela's Instagram out. And from experience, she's an amazing designer. Working with her for years and enjoying, and hopefully for many more. Yes, thank you very much. That was amazing. I really enjoyed this conversation with you.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been such an honor and so much fun to
I know.
talk about design at such a high level and about working together. It's really fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Angela. And see you for the next one. And until then, back to work.